Hi guys, my name is Dick Broughton and I am a Randomfish. So, recently I was watching Nando v Movies. His channel will be linked in the description below. And also his podcast, Mostly Nitpicking. Go check that out on Spotify as well, actually. Something he does very frequently is he attempts to change an aspect of a movie that he thinks will improve the movie greatly. And one of his most recent videos, in fact I believe the very recent video, is a rewrite of Iron Man 2, in which he completely eliminates Whiplash and keeps Justin Hammer as the primary villain. And I liked that idea. I really did. I always felt that Hammer should have been done more in the MCU. I feel that he may come into future films. They may keep him in for future phases if the Marvel movies keep on going ahead. Fingers crossed, here's hoping. But I decided that something that I wanted to do was I wanted to do a rewrite as well. Because honestly, not that I'm copying him, but frankly in my head, I've always thought about how this movie would be if things were slightly different. Now obviously, the big change here being the elimination of Whiplash as well. And I wanted to explain why I wanted to get rid of Whiplash at this point. This is not because I want to get rid of Whiplash or I don't like Ivan Vanko as a character. Hell, I love Mickey Rourke in that movie. I did. I thought it was brilliant. Did I think that maybe he was a bit too goofy? Yes, but at the same time a lot of people did. And it's one of the reasons why Iron Man 2 is so low on people's favourites of the MCU movies. But this will be my first in a latest long line of changes that I want to make. I'm not attempting to rewrite the MCU. What I am attempting to do is change up certain ideas and certain concepts that might have been better off. Not to interfere with the Avengers movies in a whole. I will not be affecting any continuations of certain movies. I will not be eliminating villains entirely. What I will be doing, however, is something I wanted to do for a while. Is I want to talk about the changes between both Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3 is less of a favourite for me than Iron Man 2 is. The reasons for that will be in a future video if I ever get the chance to do this. Hopefully if you like this, do please comment below. Please give this video a thumbs up and obviously subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that my newest videos will come up first for you. Here's hoping. Knock on wood. So here we go. This is my attempt at a rewrite for Iron Man 2. Let us begin, shall we? Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. We open, obviously, with the shot that we had in the very beginning of the movie originally, with Iron Man jumping out of the plane and landing on a giant stage. Everyone's all happy, everyone's applauding, blah blah blah. He gets out of the suit, delivers a speech, and then he goes off stage, and we see him stop for a minute and slightly wince, look at his arc reactor briefly, picks up a bottle of whiskey, port, rum, whatever you want from the side, takes a swig of it, and moves on. This has to be the shot due to the fact that we really want to set up Tony's alcoholism, like his ability to sort of automatically turn to the bad stuff when there's a problem that he wants to ignore. Also, the fact that Tony is ignoring a problem that is clearly there. So I wanted to be very obvious about that sort of thing. We then cut straight to the Senate meeting that has them saying, give us the Iron Man armor, it is a weapon, hand it over to the government. But we also get that introduction of Justin Hammer. Now, much like Nando, I do want to keep Hammer as the primary villain in this. Mainly because Sam Rockwell is a genius and we like Sam Rockwell. Not massively, but I am a fan of his in a lot of ways for a lot of things, so that's kind of cool. So Sam Rockwell would be Hammer in this still. And then the Senator would turn to Hammer and essentially say along the lines of going, look, do you agree that the Iron Man armor is a dangerous commodity? And Hammer then speaks up and basically says, yes, I do. However, we all know that Stark is never going to hand this over to us, so I am beginning to develop a version of the Iron Man suit myself. And he brings in a prototype of a blank, almost silver, no design, blank face suit thing in with some of his technicians. Tony then very instantly humiliates Hammer very openly by showing that this suit cannot fit a person. With this mentality, he then says, look, this guy here, he's not smart enough to develop an AI to work this armor. You need to have a person in this armor. I am the only one who can develop something as decent as the Iron Man armor. If he does it, he will be copying my designs. By that kind of mentality, blah blah blah. I am the best. I have successfully privatized world peace. And then he leaves, basically humiliating the Senator and Hammer at the same time. It's also shown that because of the fact that the suit's also not even finished, it's basically a giant pile of metal armor. That is it. It would be better used in the Middle Ages than it would be now, kind of mentality. So Hammer, of course, goes away all dejected and annoyed and whatnot. And we then cut back to... Here we go. Yep. We then cut to the lab, Tony's lab underneath his house that we see in the first film, where he is working on the latest version of his armor. Do you remember in the original film, the suitcase and the bang and the really cool armor look? He's working on that. We then see him also then turning around and taking out the Palladium core and getting a new one, putting it in and sort of putting it in and breathing quite heavily. Picks up the drink, takes another swig of it. At this point, we then have seen Pepper walk in as he's taking a swig. Pepper then talks to him about some day-to-day runnings of the company. Tony is very dismissive of the whole thing, but kind of basically tells Pepper to sort of just, yes, this is what I want, but I'm focusing on other things right now, blah, blah, blah. I can do this in my sleep, it's fine. And as Pepper leaves, she wonders aloud to herself as she's doing it, wonder how much he's had to drink today. And she goes upstairs in the house, and of course Jarvis is throughout the entire house. So at this point, Jarvis comes on the speaker and says, Miss Potts, and he reveals to Pepper through his observations that at the beginning of the day, the bottle that he was drinking from was full. And it's like nearly empty when we see him take the swigs from it at that point. And bear in mind, the way it's shot, the way it'll be shot, it's sort of meant to be maybe the afternoon, maybe just early afternoon. So it's one of those kind of mentalities. We then cut to Hammer, who's sat in his office. I am looking at my laptop, don't worry. We then cut to Hammer, sat in his office, having a bit of a temper tantrum because he wants to be the best. He wants to outwit Tony Stark. He wants to do this, he wants to do that. And he's looking at this suit that he's made that has absolutely nothing else to offer besides the fact that it is just armor. Nothing else in it. There's no weapons. There's no repulsor rays, nothing like that in Tony's arsenal. So Justin's very, very annoyed at this. The computer then bleeps, and there's that video call chat ringtone that we all know and love, obviously, thanks to this lockdown situation. He then clicks accept, and we never see the face of the person. I want this to be clear. We never see the face of the person involved. We only hear the voice, and the voice is meant to be slightly maniacal, but not quite, so as not to really sort of tip off the whole, not to be too corny or too dramatic kind of mentality. Sort of saying to Hammer that, the next parts will be coming in very soon. You will have an idea about what to do with them. You are a smart person. You do know what it is you're doing. You just don't have the pieces that we are providing for you. And Hammer is, of course, very happy with this and does a tiny bit of what will be the future Hammer dance that we see in the presentation from the original of Iron Man 2, but will also be in this version of Iron Man 2 as well. So we then get to the racetrack, where Tony has decided very openly at this point to start racing the car himself. He gets rid of the rider and everything else. It's also very clear that he is a little bit drunk. Not just, you know, being Tony Stark. He is a little bit on the drunk side. But he's less than he was, so he is a bit more, he's more Tony and less angry Tony, as I'll call him. So they jump into the racetrack, they're driving around the racetrack, and then he gets attacked. Now, in the original, obviously, he's attacked by Whiplash, but we do not have Whiplash in this one. We do, however, have the Hammer Drone. Now, the Hammer Drone is not called the Hammer Drone because no one can know that it's from Hammer Industries. I want to make that very clear. It's the same design as the Hammer Drone that we see in the original version, but this is sort of a slight variation on it, and there's no Hammer Industries sort of markings on it. There's no way of identifying it. There's no way of telling where it came from. This has never been released to the public. It's all very, very much something that is not known. So it crashes into the racetrack and starts trying to blow stuff up, including Tony. We then get the Happy and Pepper sort of moment of driving the car onto the track, and he throws the suitcase to Tony, who then opens it up, and the suit appears on him. It's very awesome, it's very cool, and he starts fighting the Hammer Drone. However, the Hammer Drone, you know, combination of the fact that Tony's off his game, he's a little bit drunk, and also that the Hammer Drone is, like I said, a variation of the version that we see in the original film, but it's not quite the same thing. And he's holding his own, but he's not quite beating it. At which point we then get Hammer walking out to look at the Hammer Drone. It then turns around and looks at him. It goes to fire, and then a blast hits it and takes off its head, and the Hammer Drone falls down destroyed. You then get the shot of the suit that Hammer had originally designed and that Tony had humiliated him with at the conference. It appears, it's flying, not with repulsor technology or anything of that nature, no arc reactor, none of that, but it is flying with its own sort of propulsion, with its own sort of abilities, which is all very micro versions, sort of living in the suit and whatnot. So it's flying there, and Hammer reveals that this is his newest acquisition. It's, you know, there's someone in there piloting the whole thing, but he will never reveal their identity because, unlike Tony, he wants to keep people safe. He says, but I will introduce him by his new code name that I'm giving to him, and this is a guy called Platinum Man. I'm calling him Platinum Man. Shut up. Tony's, of course, slightly rattled by this, but he also sees it as a chance once again to humiliate Hammer. He doesn't see it as a threat. He sees it as something that could be useful to him. So he then decides to go and train with this Platinum Man as Iron Man. After which we get introduced to Black Widow, who is training Tony at the time, and Happy. Well, obviously when she comes in, Happy and Tony are having their boxing match training. It's very similar to her introduction scene in the actual film. So the whole knocking Happy down and Tony saying, I want one, and Gwyneth Paltrow saying no. I know it's meant to be Pepper Potts, but I'm sorry. No, that's Gwyneth Paltrow just turning to Robert Downey Jr. and saying, no, stop it. That's what it feels like anyway. That's what it feels like. It's kind of cool. So after all of that, Tony then goes to Hammer Industries and wants to train with this Platinum Man guy. And they start sparring. At which point we then see the Platinum Man is starting to copy Iron Man's moves and very much doing them and knocking Tony around a bit and sort of doing his stuff and blah, blah, blah. And Tony's getting more and more frustrated. You can tell he's sort of losing his grip a little bit. He's less He's not thinking so much. He's letting his anger sort of drive things. This is sort of like a future send up to in Avengers, when it's that line of we need a plan of attack. It is I have a plan, attack. That's kind of the same thing I want to sort of put in there. It's that idea of he just drives forward without any focus whatsoever. Also, I want to make this very clear that this is a version of Pepper. This is a version of Tony, sorry, who 100% is not... This version of Tony is not drunk in any way. He hasn't been drinking, he's 100% sober, and he's completely on his A game, as he thinks anyway, at the beginning of this, to really prove that he's slowly sort of descending, as it were. I kind of like this idea of Tony sort of waking up before he goes off training and then walks past Jarvis, who then says, "Sir, should I have the bottle ready?" And Tony just says, "No, Jarvis, not drinking today. Need to be on my A game to knock Hammer down a few pegs to where he needs to be." But of course, we then obviously have Platinum Man completely humiliating Iron Man, Tony getting more and more pissed off, and he leaves. That is when we then cut to the party scene. The party scene is, of course, where he gets completely off his face, but also this is the scene where he tells Pepper about his issue, about the condition, about the fact that he is drinking. He and Pepper talk about his drinking. Tony then knocks it off, laughs it off, and goes back to his party and everything else. Rhodey then obviously comes in, tells him to stop it. Tony's saying no, get lost. Rhodey then takes the Mark II suit as a way of, takes the Mark II suit in a way of just knocking Tony down, but he was going to give it back after he finishes kicking Tony's ass. But after all of this, with everything else that's going on, with Tony completely in shambles, he's not 100%, he's not even close to that, he's knocked down by Rhodes, once again, and he lies there and he looks down and Rhodey just looks at him, and then he unlike in Iron Man 2 where he says nothing and then takes off, because obviously the disappointment is there, I kind of want him to say, "I'm taking this. You should not have these with that mind right now, with your state. This is not happening." He flies off with the suit. The next morning, a whole bunch of stuff happens in rapid succession, up to and including a reporter who'd snuck into the house during Tony's party and managed to eavesdrop in on the conversation that he had with Pepper, essentially making it or twisting it to sound like Tony basically saying that he doesn't think that he should be running Stark Industries anymore, simply because he sort of sits there and goes, "You've been running this business for me for a while now, like ever since I became Iron Man, you've been doing this, the day-to-day stuff, more than I have, so what the hell," kind of mentality. But they've then taken to this meaning of him going, "I'm giving you the company," and the board of directors have to sort of like not get rid of Tony per se, but sort of say to Tony, "Look, this is in the papers, this is in the news, you need to either appoint her as the new leader, the current CEO, or the temporary CEO of Stark Industries, or you are going to have a worse day with the reporters and the tabloids than you have ever had in your life." And Tony goes, "Fine." He gives Pepper temporary CEO powers. I want that to be clear, temporary CEO powers. And then, of course, he meets up and it's revealed, of course, that Natasha is Black Widow. We then get the Nick Fury scene, the "Sir, please exit the donut" line. The cafe scene, solve the riddle of your heart, all that good nonsense, all of that crap. And he goes off with Coulson, picks up the 3D model from his old office, and then leaves and goes off to solve the problem, discovering this new element mentality. During this point, we then get Hammer's conversation again with the mysterious third party that's helped him out, at which point it's then revealed of them sort of going, "You've taken Stark down a few pegs," and Hammer goes, "Yeah, I have. That's all I really wanted." And they went, "Well, no, because you've taken him down a few pegs, but you haven't eliminated his threat. He is still a threat to you, and to your future as a respected weapons contractor. So you're going to have to take him out permanently. So Hammer, very much at this point, riding the high of his success, goes, great, fine, send some guys out to take him out. Guys go out, try to take out Stark. Obviously, Coulson is there. He kick their asses, or rather, Coulson kicks their asses, and Tony sort of laughs to himself and continues working. Tony then, finishes the element. We then, of course, cut to the presentation, the Hammer Dance. It's there. It's there in all its glory. Obviously, it's Sam Rockwell. What else can you do? However, we then get the revelation of what's happened to the Mark II. Now, this isn't... I don't want this really to be overly shown. I want this to be mentioned in phone calls, but have that be it. Have that be that, Colonel Rhodes took one of the Iron Man suits. We know you have the Platinum Man suit and that you're sharing it with the military. When you do your when you show your Platinum Man off to the rest of the world and sort of show him to be the next helper with the military and sort of giving us the secrets of it. We want Colonel Rhodes to be with you in this new version, in this military version of the Mark II suit, to sort of prove that no one's above us, not even Tony Stark. We get to the presentation. Platinum Man, of course, lands on stage and opens up his arms, and the whole crowd cheers and does does almost like an Iron Man style pose, going yeah mentality. We then get Rhodes entering in the new War Machine suit, which he lands, and it's revealed as he stands up. He takes the helmet lifts, and it is Colonel Rhodes, and he goes, I'm here, I'm I'm Colonel Rhodes. And Rockwell goes, great, we've now got this, we've got that. These guys are going to lead the military from now on, guys. This is the future. I am going to make this better. There's going to be more Platinum Men style suits that are available. People are going to be able to deal with this. And blah, 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 blah. We then get the introduction of the new Iron Man suit with the triangle heart piece. He lands in the middle of the stage, turns to Hammer and says, you sent people to kill me. I know you're hiding something. What are you hiding? Rockwell, of course, or Hammer, is going, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. At which point he then, Iron Man then turns to Platinum Man and lifts up the helmet, or punches him, or takes off the helmet, whatever, to try and see who it is in there. And he goes, I was right, there's no one in here. What is happening? You aren't, there is no one in here controlling the suit. How are you doing this? Have you perfected AI? Have you done this? Have you done that? He goes over, tries to grab Hammer to take him in for questioning, and he goes right through him. It's revealed that Hammer is in his office. He has been controlling Platinum Man this whole time. And every time that we've seen Hammer and Platinum Man together, they have been holograms. Sort of as a little send-up to this idea, because I kind of like this concept of Hammer being this, being a guy that's so greedy for this stuff that he doesn't know what he's got. And so Rhodes goes, oh, hell no, you shouldn't be doing that. Tony's an ass, but you're even worse than him because you've been lying about this. You tried to kill Tony. That's not really a good thing. I really should be taking you down. So War Machine and Iron Man sort of look at each other. They put their differences aside. They kind of do it as they're fighting Platinum Man, as they all fly around together. And Platinum Man is, of course, mimicking both Iron Man and War Machine styles, flying around, knocking out a few things, dodging around. In terms of the heavy fire stuff, he's not actually copying anything yet, but he is very much sort of looking at things. There should be that line of one of them saying, it's adapting really fast. That probably should be Jarvis, maybe, to Tony. Maybe something like that. We then cut to Black Widow and Coulson Coulson then pulls up. Black Widow says, "I've got this." She gets out and starts going. Coulson just sits there. You know, like how in Avengers, when he's on the phone, he's just like, while she's beating up all those gangsters, he's doing the same thing at this point. He's just sat in a car, very casually, just puts on some music while she's kicking ass. It's one of those things. She gets to Hammer's office, knocks it down. She then knocks Hammer out and everything else, at which point Platinum Man starts falling and crashes down into the ground. That's after both War Machine and Iron Man have done the whole "you want to be a hero, you want to be a War Machine," blah blah blah, all that, you know, that holding up the hands thing, mimic blasting. Takes out Platinum Man's head, he crashes onto the ground, and that's done. Platinum Man has been eliminated as the main threat. We then get, obviously, Hammer's arrest by the police. We also then get Black Widow saying to Coulson he was speaking to somebody else, or saying to Coulson and Tony at this point, he was speaking to somebody else, there was another party involved. Tony goes, that's where he got this tech from. There's absolutely no way that Hammer's company would have picked up any of this. I know, I've been keeping an eye on them for a long time. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's sort of showing that Tony is sort of going, I do keep an eye on these things. I do want people to sort of like not take this technology and take it into the wrong direction. As they're all discussing this, some dudes in yellow jumpsuits turn up to start moving things around. Someone, maybe Pepper, goes, "What are you doing?" You know, as they're picking up the Platinum Man stuff. And they say, "We're going to take this away, we're going to analyze it, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we are a branch of the government, we're fine, we're doing this to sort of prevent anything like this from happening again. This is not like the Iron Man armor, we can do this." And Pepper goes, "Right, that's fine, who exactly are you?" And they say, "We are the Advanced Idea Mechanics. AIM is established in Iron Man 2, have that be a thing. Have them take away the Platinum Man suit," which would then, almost in a way, then lead into what I would then call the Iron Man 3 story, which I will cover another video if I can. If you guys like this enough, please tell me below, and I will cover this again. I don't know if there's any other MCU movies that I change, per se. I don't necessarily know. I do think that Nando V Movies does a great job of this on his channel as well. He has a lot more different changes with these things. If there are any other movies that you think I could look at to see if there's any changes that I could make to that, please feel free to mention them, of course, below. Do please, like I said, like this video, comment below, subscribe, hit that notification button, share this video, of course, and above all else, my random fishes, stay safe. Wash your hands. Randomfish out.